day, Mons peeps. Now, I have come to the conclusion that I've been rather remiss in not keeping you up to date on work that's been done on the Quantum. And with winter approaching, or some would say it's here, I thought it was now would be a good time to update you on all the stuff that was going on with the car, or at least the stuff that I'd remembered to film. So first off, if you go back to the first road trip, many of you will remember that we developed a problem with the engine. It turned out to be a broken piston ring, and if you go back to the Sweden Road Trip 2016 videos, there's 4 of them, you will see our adventures with that. What I didn't mention on that was that towards the end of the trip I had a very strong vibration under braking, which felt like it was coming from the front left wheel, and I suspected, and it turned out to be right, that that was a warped disc, which is a bit surprising because on that journey it was mostly motorway ride driving and gentle braking. It wasn't like I was going down an A road and braking sharply for corners or anything like that. It was gentle braking, but this is what happened, so we had to replace the front discs, and this is the video of how I went about it. Now, first of all, being a GRP monocoque, we have to protect the sill by spreading the load a little bit. The actual monocoque is stronger than a steel monocoque, but it doesn't hurt to spread the load a bit, so I put a piece of wood under before jacking up the car. Obviously loosen up the nuts, the wheel nuts, before the car leaves the ground. And having jacked it up, take the wheel nuts out. I know this is very basic stuff. Did you notice the nice mittens or gloves? It was a cold day. Right, now, just turning the disc to see if it really is warped, and you could see there was a lighter bit on the disc as you turn it round where it was catching on the calipers. It's now sitting on the top. Yep. Now, my father is helping me because I am mechanically inept. So between my father and the Haynes manual, I had the advice that I needed to tackle the job. And if I could do this, any idiot can do it. So basically what we were doing is identifying how the whole thing comes apart. You have to undo the calipers, obviously, to be able to release the disc. So I'm just feeling my way around, find the screws and nuts that hold everything together. It's an Allen key job, and unfortunately, well, understandably, everything's very tight. So I had to use a hammer to help. This is where not having a ramp to lift the car up is a bit of a pain, because you can't get the leverage that you could if it was up on a ramp. Now, what I found was there was one more Allen key that removed all of that assembly, which I didn't film, and then I could remove the disc. And once it was all back together, one shiny new disc. Next job is a bit more complicated. the old brake master cylinder had collapsed, or had given up the ghost. It died, withered away. So Adrian at NTS Autos, and I'll put a link below because he can get hold of parts that I struggle to get from any other motor factors. So give Adrian a call, he will sort you out with bits. Anyway, the old brake master cylinder, we tried to repair it, or my father did, using a repair kit we got from NTS Autos from Adrian, and that didn't work. So we ended up finding a new master cylinder. Now, the Fiesta XR2 from 1987 used a unique brake master cylinder that was not used in any other Ford model, and it was only ever used, other than that, in a TVR. And so the prices are £300. We also got from Adrian a brake bleeding kit, because he pointed out by reputation that the Fiesta was a bit of a swine to bleed, and we found that to be true as well. So what I'm doing here is going into the boot and getting the foot pump, the air pump for the car, and that has a gauge on it, so I'm going to use it to check the pressure on the front left tyre that we're going to use to power the bleeding kit. And in short, what the bleeding kit will do is use the pressure from the tyre to push brake fluid through the system and force the air out. It's a clever system really, and right now I'm trying to get it down to about 20 psi, which is the recommended pressure to do the job. Should be about there. Put the air pump back in the back. Now we're going to start at the back of the car, which is where I took the back brake wheel off. So I chock up the front. Because obviously the handbrake needs to be off. And now I can finish taking the wheel off. Now here we have some brake fluid, and we need to top up the bottle in the bleeding kit, as well as the reservoir on the brake master cylinder. That way we won't be pumping air through the system, just brake fluid. So finish off taking the wheel off. So first thing to do is top up the brake reservoir on the master cylinder. Then we prime up the reservoir for the bleeding kit. The air from the tyre will blow into the top, pushing the brake fluid down, it will pick up the brake fluid through the clear pipe at the bottom, and it will push pure brake fluid into the reservoir.
I've got visions of hell now. Now I think I've done everything upside down. We're going to find out. Let me do it.
So me attaching this now to the tyre, which is at 20 psi, completes the circuit, and now the whole system is pressurised again. So I can go to the back of the car, I've identified the brake bleed nipple at the back of the drum brake. I can release that. We wait until the air has stopped spluttering through and it's just pure brake fluid. You can see there's a bit of brake fluid dripping there, but there's a bit of air spluttering through as well. Once that stops, we do it back up again, and basically we have to do that for all four wheels. Again, we need to top up the reservoir. You can see how much brake fluid has been pushed through the system. So we top this up to make sure that we're only blowing brake fluid through the system. Again, I'm no expert, I'm not a mechanical genius, and I'm showing this honestly from my experience. But if you need any of this kit, go to Adrian at NTS Autos and he'll sort you out. One wheel back on, 3 to go. No job can be done without supervision, eh, Billy? Like the box? We put antifreeze in the coolant system, but in spite of that, we had a burst radiator to deal with when we checked the car in the, you know, after the cold spell, which was a particularly bad one this year. So I've had to invest in a brand new radiator again, second time in 2 years. So now you can have a quick look at the car without the radiator in place. Now I've managed to remove the radiator without actually having taken the nose cone off, as I did last time, and you can actually see this is a very cleverly designed monocoque car, because the bulkhead at the front is your first line of defence, second line of defence after the nose cone, which is removable. So in a front end crash situation, you're actually in a very good position with these very strong bulkheads here, these box sections behind the bulkhead, to actually absorb the impact long before it reaches the cockpit. So it's a very good piece of engineering in its own right. Now if you look down here, I've fitted some brand new nuts and bolts because the old ones looked a bit tired, and that's where the bottom of the radiator will hook up. We've got these silicone hoses which I've already fitted in the past, so they're all in place ready, and now it's just a case of putting the radiator back in with a bit of assistance from my father. Now the holes at the bottom, because the nuts and bolts don't line up perfectly, have to be opened out. Now I've copied the original radiator that was on the car and opened these holes out, and the top here hooks onto a bracket which is mounted behind the bulkhead. So without further ado, let's crack on. Right, so I need you on which side is the best. Right, this is, as you may remember, goes this way round, and that hooks onto a bracket which is behind the bulkhead at the top. So I'll have to go down below the bolts. I think you were on this side, weren't you, when we took it out? I'll go on that side, you're alright. Right, so if you can hold it up whilst I get... No, on the other side. Oh, you're going that way, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Whilst I get... Hold on. Oh, yeah, we're already through. What am I doing? Right, so it's going to go behind. Yeah?
Yeah. You need it.
It's behind. Ow! Watch me fingers. It goes behind, Dad, not in front, behind. That's it. Now it should hook up there somewhere.
Hey?
Oh, happiness, happiness, happiness. Isn't it, eh? Oh, there's things going on. This is going alright. Can you just keep an eye on the top and make sure that let me know when I'm touching. It should pull all the way in, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Are you filming?
I am, but I was zoomed in. I'm gonna have to zoom out. This is like, has to be involved in everything. So now we have a reliable car. It's there are a couple of jobs left to do on it. I have a broken nut and bolt on the boot latch which needs fixing so that the boot latch will work properly, because at the moment it's just turning when I try to release. And the other job is that the passenger side window has become detached from its holder at the bottom, which means that it won't go up and down. It's currently at the up position, so I will fix that, and then we're going to get the bodywork fixed by Quantum Cars, and after that we're going to get a respray, and then I'm going to go all out on a new leather interior, but that's down the road. Meantime, I had a little fun the other day, and here are some shots I got with a new drone. for watching. Please click on like and subscribe, and don't forget, if you want to be really wonderful, go to www.patreon.com/Enwin and make a pledge. You'll be able to see some extra videos, you'll be able to see all the videos before they go public, and you'll also be entered into our prize draws. And the 2 prize draws we've got at the moment, at 20 Patreon supporters and 40 Patreon supporters, the links are below.